Sometimes the words we say hold a power we don't fully understand. When you open up about your connection to a higher realm, it can touch a soul so deeply that tears become the only language left. There are moments in life when you share something so profound that it shakes the very core of another person's being. In those moments, you realize the strength of your connection to the divine. The look in their eyes said it all. They weren't just listening, they were feeling every word in a place beyond their understanding. And as tears fell, you knew the angels had spoken through you. When you find the courage to speak of the unseen, you may unlock emotions hidden deep within the hearts of those you love. The message, though simple, opens a door to something sacred. We live in a world where unseen forces guide us. When you shared your story of this connection, it felt like a piece of heaven touched their soul, moving them to tears and sparking a sense of wonder. Words can become wings, lifting others to a place of understanding beyond the physical world. You spoke of angels, and suddenly they felt those wings too, enveloping them in a wave of overwhelming emotion. It's rare, but sometimes words have the power to heal. And when they do, they can bring someone to tears. When you shared your connection, it wasn't just a story, it was a message their heart had been waiting to hear. Sharing a message from beyond isn't always easy, but sometimes it's the words we struggle to say that touch the heart most profoundly, opening up a hidden place of emotion and understanding. When you opened your heart and shared that connection, the reaction was raw, real, and powerful. You could see that your words had become a bridge, connecting them to something they could only feel through tears. We all have a story that can awaken the soul of another. When you shared yours, it was as if they were hearing the voice of an angel, and all they could do was cry, overcome by the purity of it. There's a magic in speaking the truth of the heart. When you revealed your connection, they wept, not because of sadness, but because your words reminded them of a love so profound, it brought heaven closer. The moment you shared your angelic message, like, it felt like the universe was listening too. Your words didn't just reach their ears, they touched something eternal within them, stirring emotions that had long been dormant. When you speak from a place of truth, it resonates beyond comprehension. You felt their tears, and it was as if their soul was thanking you for helping them remember the presence of angels. Some stories are vessels, carrying emotions that are too big to be contained. You shared your connection, and it poured into them, flooding their heart with a wave of emotion they couldn't hold back. There's a beauty in the vulnerability of tears. As you shared your truth, it was as if the message flowed straight from the angels to them, touching a place only tears could translate. It's rare to see someone moved to tears by words alone, but when you spoke of angels, something within them felt understood, perhaps for the first time in a long time. In speaking of the unseen, you ignited something within them that was deeply buried. They wept because they too had felt that connection, but had been too afraid to share it until now. The silence after you shared your message spoke louder than any words. Tears streamed down their face, revealing a level of understanding that words alone could never convey. Sometimes when we share our truth, it resonates on a level beyond the mind. Your story touched their soul, a reminder that love and guidance from angels surround us all. Tears can be a doorway to understanding, a reaction when the soul finally feels seen. When you spoke of your connection, you could feel that it was exactly what they had been searching for. You shared a piece of your heart, and it was as if the words themselves were wrapped in light. They felt it deeply, and the tears that followed were a silent gratitude for the truth they felt in their soul. There's a moment when someone's reaction reveals the depth of the message. As tears fell, you knew your words had struck a chord, touching a place in them that only angels could reach. When you shared that message, the walls around their hearts softened. It was as if your words had opened a door, letting in a light they'd been missing, and the only response was tears. Speaking of the unseen can be overwhelming, and yet your words carried a peace that stirred something deep within them. Their tears were a release, a sign of the healing taking place. It's not often that someone cries from understanding, but as you shared, it was clear they were finally hearing something their soul needed. It was as if the angels themselves were speaking through you. In a moment of openness, you shared your truth. Their tears were a sign that they had felt that connection too, a reminder that we're never truly alone in this journey. Some connections are too beautiful for words. When you spoke of yours, it wasn't just a story. It was a reminder of love's eternal nature, moving them to tears in a way they hadn't anticipated. You felt the power in your words as you shared your connection, and their tears were an unspoken recognition of a truth that the heart understood before the mind could catch up. Sharing a story from the heart can be transformative. When you spoke, their tears revealed the beauty of a connection that transcends this world, reminding them of the presence of angels. Sometimes it's the gentlest words that carry the deepest truths. As you spoke, they cried not because of sadness, but because in that moment, they felt held by something greater than themselves. The message you shared was more than words. It was a gift. Their tears spoke of a release, a sense of peace and understanding they hadn't felt until they heard the truth of your connection. It was a moment beyond explanation. When you shared your story, their tears told you everything. They felt a presence, a love that they'd been longing for without even knowing it. In sharing your truth, you gave them a glimpse of the divine. They cried because in that moment, they could feel the angels too, guiding and watching over them with love. Words have a power beyond our understanding. When you shared yours, it was as if something in them awakened, bringing tears that spoke of a healing they didn't know they needed. Some truths can only be felt, and as you spoke, it was as if the angels were beside you, guiding your words to reach a part of them that had been hidden for too long. The moment you opened up, they felt it. The connection, the presence, the love. Their tears were a sign that they'd recognized something true and eternal, something they'd always known but had forgotten. In sharing, you allowed them to feel the beauty of the unseen, and their tears were a release of emotions they hadn't known they were holding. It was a moment of clarity and peace. When words carry the weight of truth, they have the power to break down walls. As you spoke, the tears in their eyes told you that you'd reached a part of them they'd kept hidden. It's rare for words to move someone to tears, but when you shared your message, it was as if the angels themselves were speaking, reminding them of a love that never leaves. The tears were unexpected, but as you shared your connection, you realized they weren't just hearing your words. They were feeling a truth that resonated deeply with their soul. You spoke and they listened, but it was more than listening. It was an understanding, a knowing, and the tears that followed were a response to a connection beyond this world. In opening up, you allowed them to feel something they hadn't felt in a long time. Their tears weren't just for your story. They were for a truth they'd been missing within themselves. Some stories have the power to heal simply by being told. When you shared yours, it was as if the words were wrapped in love, touching a place in their heart that only tears could express. It's a powerful moment when words transcend understanding. You felt their tears as they listened, knowing that in that moment, your message had become their reminder of hope. When you spoke, they didn't just hear it, they felt it, as if the angels themselves were present. Their tears were a sign that your words had reached a place beyond the physical. Some truths are too profound to be held in silence. As you shared your connection, it became clear that they had felt the same presence too, and their tears were a testament to that. In sharing, you offered them a glimpse of a world beyond this one. The tears that followed were a recognition, an acknowledgement that they too had felt the touch of angels.